What up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine. Think Magazine put in a geek, and today we're going to take a look at this little puppy right here. It's the Blackmagic Television Studio HD. Blackmagic Design came out with this little thing, and I'm going to tell you something. It's smaller, it's lighter weight, it's easier to handle than the older television studio. The older television studio was the size of a rack mount, but it wasn't that deep, so it was about that thick maybe, and of course a little bit wider, and of course you fit it in a rack mount, and it had wings, and the wings were for the screw holes, so you could put it into a case and go from there. This one will allow you to set it on the table and set it right, and like for instance I can set this right next to me, and it's also an automatic switcher, so that means that when you press these buttons like this, see, I'm typing. Type. Now, if you press these buttons and you hit either the cut or the auto, or you have it set that once you press the button, it goes to the camera, it'll go to the camera. As opposed to the old one, which won't do it. You have to use the software. And we have the software installed. I'll show you. Here's the software right here. Of course, we don't have any device connected because I have the studio turned off because, hey, it's right here. So let's take a look at the studio and then, of course, we're going to hook it up to the cameras and go from there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Hello. And of course, remember the socials. I forgot to do all this. So socials, and of course our friends over at Cashfly help us with the RSS feed here. And then finally, that. So, all right. So we've got the television studio right here. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. What we have the menu setting dials. Just do it like this: menu setting dials, and then a little turn dial here. We've got the LCD screen, which you can use to preview. You can use to see the program straight up, so you don't need a computer. Like I'm looking through Wirecast to see this video, so it's right there. Then you have the program buttons, and then like this is camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. You got eight cameras to go from. The top buttons are for audio. So if, let's say, camera 2, you want to use the audio from camera 2, you just boom and go from there. And then we got a headphone and a microphone port here, or an instrument port, excuse me, here. Turning around, we're going to look at the back. What do we got? We've got, once again, we've got audio here. We've got an HDMI multi-view out. There is no HDMI out, which was a little bit disappointing. And I talked to Blackmagic. They said, oh, well, people like the SDI anyway. So it's like, no, I got too many capture boxes that are HDMI. How do I capture this out to another device without, using like the web, this web presenter, which I have, or one of their devices, or buying a new device? And I don't, it just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, and you have your SDI, you have your SDI inputs down here. You have your SDI outputs out here, so it'll actually do some pass-through. We've got the reference in. We've got the auxiliary right here. Whoops, right here. And then we've got multi-view, so you can do HDMI multi-view or SDI multi-view. And then this is the program. This is the one that'll take it to things like the web presenter, which I do have the web presenter here. I did do a review of the web presenter. Let me show you that really quick. This isn't about the web presenter. I do have a video out there about it, so just check it out. This is the web presenter, and it's still hooked into. This is the web presenter, so you can actually do 2 inputs here. We've got the HDMI and the SDI inputs, and then of course audio as well. Now the cool thing about this is I won't need to hook up an audio from the TV to the web presenter. It'll pass through on its own. Let me zoom back out so you don't see my face. Oh, it's crazy big. The guy's crazy big. So all right. So now that you see that, what we're going to do is we're going to hook up 4 cameras to this web presenter, and then I'm going to show you some basics, and we'll use it at the hardware level we'll use it at the software level as well. A little bit about the cameras. This was the biggest problem that I've had with the web presenter. It was actually pretty easy. You could hook up almost any camera and it would recognize it. You hook up 2 different cameras and it would recognize both. So when I figured the TV studio would also have that functionality, but apparently not. And I'm not sure. This is interesting. The audio is doing something weird. Hold on a second. All right, let's try that again. Hey, how you doing? Anyway, hopefully I won't have any audio issues. So, here, where I was going with this is all cameras have to be the same resolution, the same frame rate. If you don't do that, you run into problems. In fact, I was trying to hook up one of my old Canon cameras, and it wouldn't do 720p for some reason. I don't know why. So, I'm passing by that. I have cameras set up. I even have it set up so it'll hook up to my little GoPro here. Now, the GoPro Hero, we have it. I downscaled everything to 720p, 60 frames a second. So what that means is that this video will come out in 720p. Of course, I will then put it through Wirecast. It will then upscale to a full 1080. So you'll be able to see that in 1080, 720 and 1080. So, but this is basically how you set it up. We're gonna go in the back here. You have your power. You have your internet connection, so we can use the software control. You have you have your USB 2.0, and you don't need to connect that up. Only when you're doing like updates or changing IP addresses, which you can do right here on the machine, the IP address part on the machine. So you don't have to worry too much about connecting for that. But if you're doing an update, you want this. And then, of course, the remote, which is it's just a little, like a joystick or something like that, which you can get through Blackmagic Design as well. So, all right, let's move on here. Let's get this hooked up and go from here. And what I'm going to hook up is 4 things. First thing I'm going to hook up is my GoPro, which is going to be in port 1. Second thing I'm going to hook up is, hopefully I got this all right. This is the little Canon. I have a little Sony camera right here, which I'm hooking up. I think that's right. No, that's not right. This is the desktop screen. I'm going to hook this up in 4. Then we have, this is the Sony right here, and we're going to hook up. And then finally, we're going to connect up this one right here, which is my PTZ Optics. Now, PTZ Optics had their 20X SDI has the ability to actually go through HDMI and SDI, but for some reason, and they say you could actually hook up 2 at the same time and watch. Like I could hook the SD up to the device, and then the HDMI up to a TV, and then it would run through both. But for some reason, Blackmagic, it gets really finicky. In fact, the TV won't accept the SDI, but if I hook it up to an Ultra Mini, I got to hook it up SDI, but I can't hook it up HDMI. So it's more of a PT Optics thing than a Blackmagic design issue. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but it's things that I'm talking to with PTZ Optics. All right, moving on. We're going to hook up, next thing we're going to hook up this is the SDI. And I really wanted to hook up some SDI cameras. Like I said, the PTZ Optics wouldn't have worked. I have a couple other devices, but they won't be able to do it in 720p. So this one will go to the web presenter. Like I said, we don't have an out for that except HDMI. So the bottom one here is program. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug that right in. That, of course, this plugs into the web presenter. Make sure I've got that in the right spot. Okay, there we go. And then finally, I have my audio, which through my soundboard. Well, actually, 2 things here. My audio through the soundboard. I'm going through an auxiliary jack to bring this in, and I'm going to plug this right into port 1. And then finally, this is my internet connection, so I can connect up to my computer software, and I'm going to show you how to use both as we go. So, all right. And with all that said, I've got it all plugged in. I'll show you this as we go, as we hook up the GoPro. So, but right now, oops, I should hook up the GoPro. And that's plugged in. We're going to turn that on. And we're going to plug this puppy in. Now, one cool thing about this is there are 2 fans on the side, but they're relatively quiet. In fact, I've tested this. I've clocked it at about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Actually, under 100 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on what you're using. But you also have the web presenter. This actually gets hotter. In fact, I'll bring out the heat gun. Watch this. I'll hit this. And it says, right now it says, you probably can't see it. It says 106. Whereas this will get up to about 100. You know, you can still handle it. It feels warm is basically it. So, but anyway, I'm going to move this. And now we've got all of them hooked up. I'm going to turn this so you don't see me like that. And we got 1, we got 2, we got 3, we got 4. And our software control is up. I'm just double checking to make sure everything is good. There we go. All right. Now we'll switch you over to cameras, and we're going to switch you over to camera 1, which is the presenter and the GoPro. So this is the GoPro, and of course we got the Blackmagic Design TV Studio HD. I'm going to do this. Now you can see it actually do live switch. So basically this is set up so you have red is active and the green button will be inactive. So I'll hit 2, and that means that camera 2 will be the next once I hit cut or auto. So I'm going to hit cut straight up, and of course you see camera 2. And then I hit auto, and I've got a blend, which I can set up in the software, or I can set up right here on the device. The top part here, like I said, is all audio. So if you want those audio channels on, you press the on button, and the AFV buttons will help you with that. And over here we've got your media. So if I do a lower third or something like that, I can turn that on. And of course, fade to black, which pretty self-explanatory. You can also put in color bars. You can also put in other stuff. You have the auxiliary, the LCD screen here, where we can go auxiliary. These are the color bars or the master. So we got color bars, and we can say cut. And I thought that would go to the color bars. I guess it doesn't. There's a way to do it. So anyway, but you have the menu, and as you can see with the menu, it's showing your program source, your second program source, your auxiliary source. The auxiliary being the program source is what is playing. That's this camera right here. The preview source is the camera that I have queued up. And as if I hit the cut button, that checkbox would then switch up to the other camera. The auxiliary source, which we can choose cameras, or we can choose the color bars or a specific color. A color generator, which if you want yellow or black or red or green or whatever, you can set that. And the upstream key, which allows you to set up lower thirds, set up graphics, which I have to put those in. Transition, however you want the transition to happen. And then, of course, the downstream keys. And then fade to black, how much you want that. Media players, we've got 2 pieces of media in there, which it looks like it's set up for. And then audio mixer. So you could actually do the audio ports in the back or each of the cameras, like I said. And you can adjust the levels there. Your headphone level, your master level, your talkback level, and your side tone level. And then, of course, all the other settings, including adding in your IP address. And you basically just hit the set button down here, and then you scroll down to where it is. I'm not going to scroll to my IP address, but you can change everything you can change at this point from here on the settings. And when you're done, you hit menu, and that gets you back. So set, which is the button down below, you can't see it. That's there. The set button is kind of like the move forward. The menu moves you back. So, and it gets a little confusing at times, and there's times I hit menu and I meant to not hit menu. and of course that'll take you back here. And so that's the Blackmagic design interface on the front here. And of course, let's cut to another camera here. This is my camera. Of course, I didn't have them set up, so you'll see the focus rings going. Let's go to 3 and hit the auto. Now I can fade it. Now this is my PTZ camera, so I can switch back and forth from there. And the cool thing is the audio, and I've been testing the audio. In fact, I'll switch over to the audio on that is going into the television studio right here in 3, 2, 1. And now I've switched over there. Now this will probably push everything to the left, even though I saw some weird stuff happening with my audio. But it should push my vocals to the left, maybe, because I only have audio 1 connected. You got 2 channels of audio, so you know you can have a 2-person conversation and have it nice and split up and go from there. So as you can see, the latency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to switch back out of the box. This is my regular one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, the latency is pretty low, so there's not much of an issue there, which I was really excited about. And like I said, you also don't have to hook in the audio. You can actually hook in the audio into the web presenter and run the web presenter there. And I'm guessing that the latency issues will be exactly the same as we saw right here. So, all right. So now we've got the idea of how this all works. We can, and if you put it together, let me just show you this really quick. This is what it is like with both pieces. So we've got, hopefully I can bring this cable over. So we've got the television studio right here. And then of course the web presenter right here. And I've got the extra interface plate so I can actually switch between HDMI and SDI sources. But as you can see, it's as a full unit, it's a rack size unit. But most of you already might have some sort of capture device that you'll use, like the Mini Studio or something like that. So you might not buy that one and go from there. Price is really quick. Television Studio is $945 as of recording this video, and then the web presenter is $495. The interface plate is an additional $80, $550, so you can control 2 cameras. And I think that's pretty cool. It's a great price, but it will only go 720p. And of course, I'm upscaling it on my Wirecast to run 1080 because you can normally do that in situations like that. So anyway, so now we have it all connected. I'm going to switch over to the other audio here. As you can see, I don't see too much of a latency. There probably is a little bit, very, very close, and in switching back and forth. We'll switch it back here. As you can see, switching it back and go from there. So basically now I have this running into my Wirecast, and then I have 2 camera sources, 2 different types of Blackmagic. Now this one right here is a standard Blackmagic Intensity PCI card, which takes HDMI. And then of course this is the web interface with the switcher back and forth. So now I can sit here on this table and do switching. Like I said, you might not even notice me switching because I'll just be able to go back here and then let's see, where am I? And go to this camera and then go to my GoPro if I wanted to, and I can do it all from here, all through the buttons. Now if you do want to go through the interface, hey, it's right here as well. You can have a lot of fun with that interface because it does a lot more and helps you in your production. So when you need, like I said, you need the Ethernet cable to connect up and set up the IP address, which you can do through the setup tool. But with that, I can actually, and I can't, I don't think I have this, I don't have this set up to show you, but let me, yeah. So basically, I'll switch it. I'm going to switch it through the buttons here. So I'll put up this here. So you see me, I'm on camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, and no camera 5, of course. So, all right. But what's cool about this is now I can actually do a lot more. Like, for instance, I can do things like picture-in-picture, and that's pretty sweet. So let me show you how to do that. You first go over to your upstream key, and you say upstream key. We're going to do a picture-in-picture here. So I'm going to do camera 4, which is my desktop computer. Now I set my desktop computer to 2 separate screens, and of course the second one running at 720p. I go invert key, and then I go, I believe it's mask. Yeah, no, not mask. So I think that'll do it. So if I hit key and on air, yep, it does it. So we'll switch over there. And now we're on my desktop. Now, of course, you can't see the video behind the desktop because I have the size. So now I need to set my flying key. And I just hit the button and you just saw what happened. It went over to flying key. So that was this little button right here. I got to choose my positions so I can set those positions. I thought it was going to save, when I saved it. Let's restore here. Where'd it go? I thought I had saved. Anyway, oh well. Okay, so we'll do a position. Unfortunately, the arrows are way too slow. So let's see. I think it's 9 and -5. And we're going to do a size of 0.35. That's about 1/3 of the screen size. And we're going to hit set A. And that's going to set the screen to whenever I hit the A button down here. That'll allow me to put that in the corner. So right now, as you can see, let me give you a more exciting camera here. Let's do that. Okay, so now I can talk and I can have my desktop down here, or vice versa. I can have the desktop here. And then I can turn around and change this to camera 2. And hit on air. And there we go. I have now on the bottom corner here, I can be talking to you while I'm showing you my desktop screen, which just faded to black for some reason. There we go. All right, perfect. Like to thank Latency is smaller with Television Studio. Yes, Dimitri, thank you very much for coming on to the stream there, Dimitri, and adding some thought to it. So now I have this down in the bottom corner. I want to move it up to the other side. So if things change, I want to show you, maybe something in this area you need to see. So I need to move this over here. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to set my second flying key. And we're just going to do it the opposite way. We'll go -5. And we'll go 9. I think that did it. That kind of did. We'll hit set B. Now when we come back here, we're way off. So let's figure out these numbers really quick. So that's 5. Nope. So we were right with, let's go -9. Let's see what happens there. There we go. I did the numbers wrong. So it's 5, I bet you. There we go. Now here I am on top. So now I'm going to hit set B, and that'll put me to the A, B, and full. So now if I do A, I'm down in this corner. If I do B, I'm up in this corner. And if I do full screen. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of other stuff to zoom in, zoom out, so on and so forth. You can see, you can play with this whole thing. It's just lots of fun to bring in your cameras. Let's go back in. There we go, and go from there. Now let's go back to this screen, and I'm going to show you the downstream keys. And this is cool because now I can put in my graphics. My first graphic is going to be Media Player 1, which is going to be my lower third. So now I'll go back here. If I do this and I hit Media Player 1, there I have a lower third for you. Pretty cool. And I turn it off. I can even do auto, so it'll auto in and auto out. Go down to where it says key 2 and say Media Player 2. And I can put in this graphic, which is just basically my Geekazine logo. And I guess that was a little bit blurrier than I expected. But anyway, the whole point is that now I can put in a lower third on the second one. So if I'm doing a one-on-one conversation, all I have to do is bring in the mix and cut it in like that. And I'm doing this from here, let me show you. I'm doing this from the TV studio. As you can see, I have that. I'm going to press that again. I'm going to hit cut, and it's gone. Cut again. Hit that, and it fades back in. And then it fades back out. Now that's, you have disc one, you have this, the media player 1, and then the media player 2. So we have that. We can hit the cut, and that looks a little bit weird. But as you can see, I have the lower corner here now, and I can go back, and then I can go back into, let's go to 3, hit the auto button, and go from there. So as you can see, you can switch around a lot through the box and through the software. And what I use when I take things out on the road, I get a touch screen laptop, and then I'm just hitting buttons right from the screen rather than from any device or anything like that. But I can have the laptop right on top of the TV studio, and I'll have more functionality from there. And then of course, if I'm using the audio options, let's switch over to that camera. If I'm using any of the audio options, I can turn them on and use them as we go, and no issues there. It'll just do it, and that's pretty cool. So lots of cool stuff with the television studio. I'm really excited about how this works. I'll tell you, it was a challenge trying to figure everything out, setting it all up, and going from there. But once you get it set up, and once you get your cameras all configured, because you're going to have to configure them all to the same resolution, whether it be 720p or 1080p, and you do that by this. I don't know if there's a way to do it on there. Well, there's got to be a way to do it in the menus. In fact, yeah, actually, I think there is. So let's bring this back over here, and we'll get me out of the way. We'll go to B. See how that works. So we're gonna go to the settings, and what we're looking for. You're seeing my IP address anyway. Trying to think of where that is. Thought it would be in the settings here. So okay, so in these settings, I want to show you this. This is the program preview. I could switch this, so once I hit a button, it'll go straight to the camera. There's going to be no cut or auto. It's just going to do it automatically. Video there. This is what I was going to show you. Video format is set at 720, 5994. I can change this, but if I change this, then it'll reset, and then you won't see any of my videos or any of the, like this picture right here. So you have the IP address, but everything is through the cameras, and of course you can change how you work. Oh yeah, mix minus. Oh, I forgot about that. A lot of podcasters, if you don't know what mix minus is, it's just basically monitor mixing. So when I send a signal, and let's say I have somebody talking on another computer, maybe I Skype them in, I can send it so excuse me, so the audio doesn't go back to them, causing a feedback loop. Because if you've ever done a video like that, you know that you get these echoes and stuff like that. That's a feedback loop, because it doesn't know what to do with the audio, because it keeps hearing the same audio and just looping and looping and looping till it's just an infinite echo. So you can actually change that to mix minus or program audio. Since we're not using all of the cameras and devices, and each, like for instance, the laptop also sends audio. So I can actually, if I played a video or something like that, I could turn on the audio and go from there. And then of course you can also change it right here in the settings. Down in the corner, there's a little gear icon, and then it says set the video standard to, and you have a whole drop down with many different options. And go from there. So lots of different ways that you can set it up. So you can have this going. If you don't have the computer set up, you didn't bring your networks with you or whatever, you can set it up straight from the television studio, and you keep going and record from there. And you really don't need a computer at this point. I mean, with the web studio, and then you get one of the recording devices. I have a Atomos Ninja, which I could use, I would need the web presenter to use it to do the HDMI out, or get a little device that would convert SDI to HDMI. But then I wouldn't need a computer to do just basic recording. I'd need a computer to hook it up so I could go into Wirecast, so I could send it out at the web like I'm doing right now. But if I'm just recording video, that's all I need. And it does up to 1080p, 59, 94 frames a second, or 60 frames a second, as most people call it anyway. So it doesn't do 4K, and they do have 4K presenters. They don't have the updated versions, and I'll tell you, once the 4K version comes out on this little puppy, I'm going to get it. Because it's very useful. I'm very excited on how I can put things together, like the lower thirds, like the graphics, the picture-in-picture and things like that, and just go from there and switch without need of the computer too much. So, but anyway, that's pretty much it. Hopefully that answers your questions on everything here. What the television studio is, how it works, how you set it up, using it with the web presenter. You can also, like I said, you can also use it with whatever capture card you have, as long as it's an SDI in option on your capture card. You'll be able to use it without a problem. So thanks a lot for watching. My name is Jeffrey Powers. You can find me over at Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek, or you can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that other good stuff. If you'd like to tip me, go over to paypal.me/Jeff Powers, paypal.me/Jeff Powers. You can also join the Patreon over at patreon.com/Geekazine. You've been watching the Blackmagic Television Studio HD setup, and from soup to nuts. So thanks a lot for watching. You guys geek out, and we'll see you next time. Take care.